This is the iPhone 17 Pro, and before we even start, let me say something that most tech reviewers won't. I'm not going to compare it to iPhone 15 or 16 lineup because if you own either of those, there's absolutely zero reason to upgrade. See, I'm not a techo. I'm here to test if it actually deserves your money. And that's what this channel's about. Just because you can buy a new tech doesn't mean you should. This is Anshul and you're watching Grounded. Now, if you're actually wondering whether this thing's worth it or not, here's what it feels like after 120 days of real-world uses. So Apple made a bold move this year. They ditched titanium, went back to aluminium. Was not gonna lie, but that titanium body was such a piece of art. So why did Apple make that switch? Well, the secret lies in the thermal property of aluminium. See, aluminium might not sound as premium as titanium, but function-wise, it's actually better. It transfers heat almost 10 times better than titanium, which means your phone remains cooler while playing games, recording 4K videos, and while even charging. But then comes the flip side. Sadly, it's a scratch magnet. Because while aluminium is way better than titanium in terms of heat management, it means that it's a softer metal. And being a softer metal, it attracts more scratches and scuffs. You'll notice tiny marks on the sides or near the buttons, even with careful use. So in my own experience of using this for last few months, it has got some scratches. And mind you, I keep my phone quite nicely. You don't trust me, this is my Pixel 3a from the days when I used to be a Android fanboy. And it is still in good condition. And here's the irony, that aluminium body is meant to push heat out. But because the finish is so delicate, you end up getting a cover. And the moment you do that, you trap the very heat Apple worked to dissipate. But having said that, it is still a lot better than the older iPhones in terms of heat management. This year, all three rear lenses are 48 megapixel. Photos are crisp, dynamic range is solid, colors comes out natural, and it has always been the case with iPhones. I think credit should be given where it's due. This year you have a new 48 megapixel telephoto lens, which gives you 4x optical zoom and 8x digital. The 8x is nothing but Apple using the machine learning to crop in on the 4x. Are the 8x photo exceptional? Sadly, no. But are they usable? I would say definitely yes. Where the 8x really struggles is during low light videos. You can really see that wobbly effect going on. Like in this case, the autofocus has given up. I know it's dark, but there's enough color contrast. Another thing that I've never understood is the fascination of brands having this 8x, 50x, 100x, 200x features in their phone. I would anytime prefer having a shorter reach with better quality than having a longer reach with potato quality. I feel the key is consistency. All the lens in your camera system should have a consistent look no matter what lens I'm using. One thing that I've noticed with iPhone 17 is when you try to take photos in night on portrait mode, there's no night mode available now. Which is weird because it has always been there. So what's actually new then? So now the front camera has an 18 megapixel sensor, which is a considerable update if you compare it to the previous versions. And I think it shows up. I think the best thing about this feature is that you can record full horizontal videos without even turning your hand. Like you can hold your phone vertically and it would record full 16:9 video. So I think especially for new content creators who don't know if they would want to go into Reels or if they would want to make YouTube videos, this feature is a lifesaver because you can record one videos and then later you can basically cut it into a reel format. And guys, you'd have noticed how noisy that shot was. But don't worry, Apple has finally got a fix for you guys. So Apple has this new feature called Audio Mix that basically helps you to remove noises from your videos. You have different settings that lets you play with the noise cancellation. And trust me, it makes a hell lot of difference. Or just let it be and post it on YouTube. So this year there's this new feature on the iPhones which is called dual recording, and I have been playing with it a lot. But the only time that I've really used it is to actually send videos to my family WhatsApp group. Videos are still Apple's crown jewel. Buttery smooth stabilization, true to life colors, and ProRes for creators. You basically have a mini studio in your pocket. With this year's iPhone, you can shoot 4K 120 10-bit ProRes RAW when you're connected to an external SSD. And the footage is surprisingly good. But not everything is perfect. As you switch to ProRes RAW, iWis stops working. So now you have to rely on tripods, which defeats the whole point of run and gun filmmaking. Main lens still can't focus close, so when you move in tight, it jumps to the softer macro lens and you lose out on that reach. And yes, those classic Apple flares, they're still floating around your night shots. Apple, please, if you could just get these removed. But what irritates me the most is sometimes while recording videos, it uses the main lens instead of telephoto. You can clearly spot it. Details drop in, noise creep in, even when you're shooting under sunlight. If you're selling something while labeling it as Pro, at least let us choose the lens. There's one new hardware feature that was introduced with the iPhone 16 lineup. On paper, it sounds great, but in reality, sadly it doesn't work that way. Now let's talk about the camera control button, because this thing is complicated. On paper, it sounds amazing. One button to handle everything from zoom to focus to mode changes. But in practice, it's messy. You constantly overscroll or underscroll trying to land on the right settings. And the double press action weirdly feels inconsistent. Sometimes you press too light, sometimes too firm, and it just doesn't register right. And in a world where Apple prides itself on simplicity, where pairing AirPods to setting up a new iPhone takes few seconds, this button feels out of place. It's not intuitive, it's not fast, and it's definitely not Apple easy. I really wanted to love it. I wanted it to be my quick camera shortcut. The placement of the button really makes it hard to take photos in vertical without shaking the phone a bit. And as someone who genuinely loves buttons, this hurts. So yeah, incredible system, but not flawless. It's built for creators, not casual users. I think for most people, it's more camera than you'll ever need, and I guess sometimes less consistent than you would expect. In terms of performance, Apple continues doing what it does the best, squeezing insane power out of that tiny chip. For years now, every new iPhone chip has delivered around 10 to 20% performance gains, and that too consistently. You can literally chart it from A8 to now, and it's a clean upward curve. This year's A19 Pro takes it a step further. It's just not beating the last year's chip, but it's actually outperforming the M1s, and that's crazy when you think about it. This little phone is actually beating laptops now. What's even more interesting is what this means for the future. The A series chips in iPhones have always been a preview of what's coming next for Macs. So here's the thing. I don't think any normal person would care if their phone is faster than Mac or not. But I think it's the window to see where the silicon roadmap is heading. Now in the real world, this thing is stupidly fast. But let's be honest, most of the people would never tap into even half of that power. Everyday stuff, Instagram, messaging, YouTube feels just as smooth as on the regular iPhone 17. Especially now that the standard 17 finally has 120Hz screen, the gap between Pro and non-Pro has never been smaller. So unless you are shooting, editing and creating for a living, this thing is an overkill. A good kind, but still overkill. On a regular day with calls, social media, videos and camera, I usually end up with 25 to 30% battery left. Charging is faster too. Now here comes the twist. Apple is actually shipping these phones into two variants. One with the eSIM and other with a physical SIM tray. The eSIM only version gets a larger battery by using the space freed up inside, which gives you roughly 1.5 to 2 hours of extra video playback. So if battery life is a big deal for you, that is something that you should check before buying. All that said, compared to last year, this is a huge win. No overheating, no mid-day panic. I think this is the first time when I genuinely feel that an iPhone can last a full heavy day of uses without begging for a charger. If you want a balanced iPhone that nails the basic, go with the iPhone 17. It has the same 120Hz screen, great cameras, lighter build and a smaller bill. The Pro only makes sense if it fits your work or your wallet. So that's the iPhone 17 Pro after nearly 120 days of uses. It's powerful, it's polished, but not essential. And remember, just because you can buy new tech doesn't mean you should. So don't let the hype carry you away. Stay practical, stay grounded. I'll see you in the next one.